now we have an artist, a creator, that has a very fascinating presentation on how NFTs and AI will impact the future of art history. So without further ado, give it up for your local artist out of London, Wolfe.
Okay. Well,
round of applause.
Well, good afternoon, and thank you all very much for giving me this allotted 10 minutes of time to try and bridge the contemporary art world and AI with the NFT space. I listened to this conversation with great interest. I didn't agree with it all, but some of those topics are coming up in this discussion now. So I hope, I beg for your patience. I'm going to talk for not too long. I have written down some notes, so I'll begin. So I'm the co-founder, Wolfe von Lenkiewicz, of an NFT project called Treasury, which is set to drop next year. It's 7,020 unique digitally crafted artworks. And it's made in Cinema 4D, ZBrush, using various forms of AI and scripting code. And you will find it on Twitter, at the Treasury NFT. We have a Discord of 40,000 passionate members. So now I've got that over with, I can talk about the philosophy and discuss the ideas. So today I would like to talk a little about, well, in brief, about my thoughts on the evolution of the recent image making in the NFT space over the last year. I'm talking in general about the PFP avatar projects, which are familiar to most of us, such as the Bored Ape Yacht Club or the World of Women and many others. I want to discuss the narrative of how these artworks were made and the shift from this around the time of Mechaverse's 3D generated models in October 2021. Another example of the trend was shifting to 3D were the walking avatars of invisible friends created by Marcus Magnuson. The former, such as the Bored Apes and World of Women, focused on producing large numbers of unique images, ranging around 10,000, using various software, such as layers of Photoshop and Illustrator, and Python coding to mix the base layer with various accessories, such as color changes, clothes, and other traits. The latter were experienced in using 3D software such as Cinema 4D, Blender, Maya, and ZBrush. One thing they all shared in common was they were created as a form of high-frequency art. That is, the art was being made at a rate rarely seen before and at a rate of completion synonymous with the social media platform's vast consumer appetite. If we compare, for example, the output by an artist from the 17th century, such as Peter Paul Rubens, including all his paintings, partly made by his assistants too, we would number around a lifetime's work of 1,403 masterpieces, just 1,403, and that's Rubens. This is one of the most high-volume production artists from all of history. A more recent example would be Pablo Picasso, who again made prolific amounts, such as 13,500 paintings, 100,000 prints, and if they were compared to this number of the output of, say, Murat Pak, his Lost Poets collection, so Pak would have in 1 month made 65,536 lost poets, all enabled by code, of course. And so one can see in general the category shift in artworks made in projects in relation to artists from history is approximately the historical artist's lifetime's production times 100. So in fact, the number of artworks created by code is only limited by 2 factors, as time is hardly involved if the works are made on powerful computers. 1 is the rarity expected by the market, and 2 is more interesting, which is the probability of rare works appearing as outliners and recognized only when thousands of lesser or more average ones are compared. So keep Tyler Hobbs in mind, for example, with QEii. So the parallel between large numbers of art being produced through the combination of code and software could be made by the trading world's shift in velocity after the fast boys, like the high-frequency traders, existed in the 90s. So individuals such as Cliff Asness from AQR, Jim Simons from Renaissance Technologies, and Mike Platt from Bluecrest Group they began to redraw the methods of trading through the use of algorithms and speed. So I'm making a parallel between this and the large projects of NFTs. So in fact, this parallel is very apt because the production of so much art enabled through blockchain technologies, digital provenance, which gave digital artworks credibility to rapidly trade on platforms like OpenSea. So there was little difference between trading cryptos such as TRX or Ripple in 2017 in their blow-off tops and trading a mutant ape in 2021. The contemporary art world was both simultaneously intrigued and repelled, with its market system turned upside down. The traditional method of trading was to create monopolies, indeed even cartels of powerful families such as the Namids, the Mugrabis, who control the price of Warhols and Picassos through the auctions and mitigate the price falls by holding and buying the opportune times. In vivid contrast to the trad art world, the blockchain attempted to democratize the buying of art, which gained value not just through an aesthetic and philosophical meaning, but also by communities that supported it. Community versus cartel, paralleling the early Bitcoin Satoshi Nakamoto's philosophy of decentralization. So, here I'd like to pause the narrative, as while all this was happening, another tributary from our river of art began to surface in the marketplace. Artists such as Tyler Hobbs and Snowfro Eric Calderon from Art Blocks began to form generative curatorial programs in art with innovative methods and with curious galleries which were tokenizing, such as the inspired golden token of Bright Moments Art Collective. Finally, around the time when the bull run of Bitcoin and Ethereum began to slow down recently, and the stochastics and RSIs started to ring oversold, when trading view charts were screaming to sell, a very curious and powerful model spearheaded by Ahmed Mostak's Stability AI and runaway hit the mainstream with powerful repercussions. The work of Stable Diffusion, alongside Midjourney, OpenAI's GPT-3 and DALL-E 2 began a whole new era in image making. These are a new class of state-of-the-art generative models using natural language text prompt engineering. They work by destroying training data by adding noise, and then they learn to recover the data by reversing this noise process, and by doing so, avoiding copyright issues. While all this is happening, venture capitalists enter the space, such as Kevin Rose of Moonbirds, who championed the generative art forms of Tyler Hobbs and Dandelion Whist, who recently created QEii. The format changed again from artists creating code to producing software themselves and enabling other people to curate rather than create, by minting what they decided Hobbes's aesthetic code could enable them with parameters given. So many shades and parallels with the fine art world began to form here, I mean the traditional meat space art world, and its marriage, of course, to the market. It is at this juncture that Mark Glimcher of the International Pace Gallery, whose father Arnie Glimcher built the gallery up from selling Rothkos and de Koonings, they embraced art blocks and generative art as a conceptual breakthrough significant of our future culture. Meanwhile, our story becomes even more interesting. And while the market runs on empty at about $10 million of volume a day, people still build. At about 10 million, at the AI that starts moving towards us, well, I guess like a kind of fast-moving train, and we're all sort of asleep at the wheel. This AI is enabling an average, I suppose it's an exciting flow of new technology which continues to thrive as we speak. I mean, in King's Cross, for example, you have land scrapers being built by Google. You have them collaborating with Demis Hassabis, the fascinating AI researcher and co-founder of DeepMind and his Isomorphic Labs. They're working away, continuing to solve the problem of protein folding. So where are we now, and what is this new AI's repercussion on artists and their work? Are we at a crossroads, much like in the Industrial Revolution? When, for example, Ned Ludd made a secret oath to smash the machines to save the weavers. Will artists proceed in like manner against AI-generated art and proclaim it's fraudulent and deceitful in manner, much as the Luddites protected their standard labor practices? or will artists see it as a powerful, enabling tool? Could there be a crossover between artists of the trad art, meet space IRL painters, and the parallel process of drawing and painting in AI? I very much expect this to happen rapidly. In order for artists to adopt the new media of AI, they may also have to make a shift in their understanding of their role as artist. They may have to accept they are midwives, curators, who make thousands of aesthetic decisions and amalgamate and synthesize past historical and contemporary styles, much like a complex recipe down to fine percentages. They will engage, if they wish, also with their traditional skills of drawing and knowledge to create a new kind of art for the future. If we look at a scaled diffusion model, SF, it is remarkable that it cost $500 million to train in its first incarnation. It's open source, it's free to use for anyone using a 5 gigabyte of VRAM. What is fascinating about these tools is they are trained on billions of gigabytes of visual data from CCO images from 100 domains from Pinterest, DeviantArt, Flickr, Wikimedia, and others. The visual results are startling in their depth of what they can capture. Images of old masters such as Rembrandt, or more recently 19th century artists such as Lord Leighton, show sensitivity to not only the type of brushstroke used, but even the accurate weave of the canvas. We are now in an age where art can be made within a black box. We may very well be at the crossroads of a revolutionary art form. It may be on a similar scale to oil painting in the 16th century that replaced egg tempera and fresco. The world is dead of the old, and the new world may well be born. Thank you.